The human colony on Viridia 3 had vanished without a sound. No emergency beacon. No final message, not even a burst of static across the comms. Just silence. From orbit, the planet looked untouched. Lush green forests, winding rivers, white clouds drifting lazily over mountain ranges. But when the UNSC Resilience dropped its long-range scanners, the truth showed itself in cold data. Every settlement, every farm, every outpost gone. Reduced to ash and melted metal. The air still carried traces of plasma burns and something else. Something organic and sharp, like ozone mixed with burnt honey. Lieutenant Claire Bennett stood on the observation deck of the Resilience, arms crossed, eyes fixed on the planet below. She was not supposed to be here. She was a logistics officer, not a frontline soldier, but Earth Command had pulled her from rotation after they found out she had family on Viridia 3. A younger cousin, Lila, who had moved there with her parents 2 years ago to help build the hydroponic farms. Claire had begged for a spot on the investigation team. Now staring down at the silent world, she felt her stomach twist. The captain had given her permission to take a shuttle down alone. No Marines, no weapons team, just her, a standard-issue sidearm and a portable scanner. If there were survivors, they would be scared. Armed soldiers might make things worse. Claire knew it was a risk, but she also knew that if Lila was down there, she would not want to see a squad of armored men pointing rifles at her. The shuttle descended through thick clouds, engines humming softly. As it broke through the lower atmosphere, the landscape came into view. The colony's main hub, once a cluster of domed buildings and solar arrays, was now a blackened crater. Trees around it were charred skeletons. The river that used to run through the center of town was dry, its bed cracked and steaming faintly. Claire's hands tightened on the controls. She guided the shuttle toward the edge of what used to be the Eastern Orchard, the one place she remembered from Lila's last message. In that message, Lila had shown her the fruit trees blooming pink and white, laughing as she held up a basket of ripe pears. Now the orchard was gone. Only twisted trunks remained. She landed in a clearing just beyond the ruins. The moment the ramp lowered, the smell hit her, smoke, decay, and that strange, sweet-burnt scent again. She stepped out slowly, boots crunching on ash. Her scanner beeped softly, showing no life signs within 5 kilometers. But she did not trust it. Sometimes living things hid too well. She walked toward the crater, eyes scanning the ground. Here and there she spotted melted toys, a scorched doll, a child's shoe. Her throat tightened. She forced herself to keep moving. Near the edge of the destruction, something caught her eye. A trail of faint blue light pulsing like a heartbeat leading into the jungle. It was not on any map. Viridia 3 had no native bioluminescence. This was new. Curiosity pulled her forward. The jungle was dense. Vines hanging like curtains, leaves broad and wet. The air grew cooler the deeper she went. The blue light grew stronger, guiding her like a silent hand. After 20 minutes of careful walking, she reached a clearing unlike anything she had ever seen. In the center stood a tower. It was not built, it was grown. Smooth, spiraling crystal rose from the earth, glowing with that same soft blue pulse. It hummed faintly, a sound that vibrated in Claire's bones. Around its base, strange flowers bloomed, petals shifting color as she watched. And standing beside the tower, watching her with calm, unreadable eyes, was a woman. She was tall, taller than any human Claire had met. Her skin was pale, almost silver in the dim light. Her hair fell in waves the color of moonlight on snow. Her ears tapered to delicate points. She wore a robe made of something that shimmered like water, shifting between green and gray as she moved. At her feet lay a creature no bigger than a large dog, coiled like a cat but covered in scales that shifted from emerald to black as it breathed. Its eyes, slitted and golden, locked onto Claire. Claire stopped, hand hovering near her sidearm but not drawing it. The woman did not seem threatening, but everything about her screamed otherness. "You are not the ones who burned this place," the woman said. Her voice was low, melodic, with a strange accent that made each word feel like a note in a song. Claire blinked. I am human. From Earth. We came to see what happened." The woman tilted her head slightly. "Your kind builds loud, fragile things. You plant your seeds in soil you do not understand. And now you return to count the ashes." That stung, but Claire kept her voice steady. "We had people here, children, families. Do you know what did this?" The woman looked past her toward the ruins. "The Drakthari came. They thought this place held a weapon. It did not. But they burned it anyway, to be sure. Who are the Drakthari warriors from beyond the veil? They hunt power. They do not ask. They take. And you are, I am Lyria, last of the Silthari. This place was under my watch. I failed. The creature at her feet lifted its head, letting out a low hiss. Lyria raised a slender hand and it fell silent. Claire took a slow breath. Are there any survivors? Lyria's eyes flickered with something, sorrow maybe. Some were taken before the fire, hidden. Others did not make it, taken where? To the heart, where the Nexus sleeps. Nexus, the core beneath this world. Alive. Dreaming. The Drakthari want it. If they wake it wrongly, the star will die and this system with it. Claire stared. That sounded like myth. Like old stories told to scare children. But the tower, the woman, the dragon-like creature, they were real. And the ruins behind her were real too. Why are you telling me this? Because you came alone. Because you did not bring guns first. Because your eyes hold grief, not greed. Claire swallowed. My cousin, she was 12. She loved pears. She sent me a message 2 weeks ago. She was happy here. Lyria was silent for a long moment. Then she turned and walked toward the crystal tower. Follow, she said without looking back. Claire hesitated only a second before stepping forward. The scaled creature rose and padded after its mistress, casting wary glances at Claire as it moved. As they neared the tower, the humming grew louder, vibrating through Claire's chest. The air felt charged like before a storm. Inside the tower, the walls were smooth and warm to the touch. Light pulsed along veins in the crystal, casting shifting patterns on the floor. In the center of the chamber floated a small orb of light, no bigger than a fist, spinning slowly. It gave off no heat, but Claire felt drawn to it as if it recognized her. This is a shard of the Nexus, Lyria said. It shows what was, what is, and sometimes what could be. She reached out and touched the orb. Instantly, images filled the air, flashes of the colony before the attack, people laughing, children playing. Then fire. Ships descending from the sky, black and jagged, firing beams of violet light. Screams. Running. And then a group of children being led into the jungle by a woman in a silver robe. Lyria. They disappeared into the earth. Claire's breath caught. In one of the images, she saw Lila. Her cousin was holding hands with a boy who had faintly pointed ears. They were both crying, but they followed Lyria without hesitation. She is alive, Claire whispered. For now, Lyria said. But the Drakthari will return. They always do. And next time they will not stop at burning. They will dig. They will tear this world apart until they find the Nexus. What can we do? You can leave. Take your ship and go. Warn your people. Let them send their fleets. Let them fight, and if they lose, then the star dies, and every world around it with it. Claire looked at the orb, at the image of Lila's face. She thought of Earth Command, of admirals who would see this as a chance to test new weapons, to expand territory under the guise of defense. They would not care about the Nexus. They would not care about the children hidden below. There has to be another way. Lyria turned to her, eyes glowing faintly. There is, but it is not a human way. It requires trust, sacrifice, and a bond most cannot understand. What kind of bond? The kind between a Silthari and her dragon. And if the stars allow it, a human willing to become more than human. Claire looked down at the creature, Kale, as Lyria had called him. He met her gaze without blinking. There was intelligence in those golden eyes and something else, patience, as if he had been waiting for her. I am not a warrior, Claire said quietly. I fix supply lines. I file reports. I am not special. You walked into fire looking for one child, Lyria said. That is more than most would do. That is the kind of heart the Nexus listens to. Outside, the wind picked up, rustling the trees. Somewhere in the distance, thunder rumbled. The sky was turning dark. They are coming back sooner than I thought, Lyria said, her voice tight. Already, the Drakthari do not waste time. They saw our defenses were weak. They will return to finish what they started. Claire's mind raced. She had no weapons, no backup. But she had a choice. She could run back to the shuttle, call for help, hope the fleet arrived in time. Or she could stay, and trust an elf woman and her dragon. She looked at Kale. He tilted his head, then let out a soft chuff, almost like a sigh. All right, Claire said. Tell me what I need to do. Lyria's expression softened just a little. First, you must understand. This is not a war of guns and ships. It is a war of wills. The Nexus chooses who may guard it. If it accepts you, you will change. You may not remember your name. You may not remember Earth, but you will remember why you came. Claire thought of Lila's laugh, of the pears, of the silence that followed the last message. I am ready. Lyria nodded. Then we begin. Lyria led Claire deeper into the heart of the crystal tower. The walls pulsed with a slow, steady rhythm, like a sleeping giant's breath. Cale followed close behind, his claws clicking softly against the smooth floor. The air grew warmer, thicker, filled with the scent of rain and something ancient, like stone that had never seen the sun. Claire's boots felt heavy, not from weight, but from the weight of what she had just agreed to. She had said yes without fully understanding what it meant. Now with every step, doubt crept in, but she kept walking. She had seen Lila in that orb. That was enough. They entered a circular chamber lit by floating orbs of soft white light. In the center stood a pool of liquid silver, still as glass. It reflected nothing, not the ceiling, not their faces, only darkness. Lyria stopped at the edge and turned to Claire. "This is the mirror of will," she said. "It does not show your face. It shows your choice. Step into it and the Nexus will know you are ready." Claire looked down at the pool. It seemed to pull at her, not with force, but with quiet insistence. She took a breath and stepped in. The moment her foot touched the surface, the silver rippled. Images flashed in her mind, not memories but feelings. Fear, courage, loneliness, love. She saw herself as a child holding Lila's hand at a fair on Earth. She saw the shuttle descending through ash. She saw Cale's golden eyes watching her, not as a threat but as a test, and beneath it all a deep, humming presence, vast and patient, waiting. She sank to her knees in the pool. The silver did not wet her clothes. It passed through her like mist. Then silence. When she opened her eyes, Lyria was kneeling beside her. Cale lay curled at her back, his warmth pressing gently against her spine. "The Nexus has heard you," Lyria said. "But hearing is not enough. The Drakthari return soon. We must prepare. What do I do, you learn?" Quickly. Over the next hours, Lyria taught her what she could. The Silthari were not warriors in the human sense. They did not build armies or fire cannons. They guarded balance. The Nexus was not a weapon, it was a seed, a living core of a future star, slumbering beneath Viridia 3. If disturbed by violence, it would awaken in rage, burning out the system in seconds. Only a Silthari ritual, performed with a willing human partner, could calm it and seal it away until the danger passed. But the ritual required more than words. It needed a shared will, a bond, and that bond could only form if the human let go of fear. Cale watched Claire as she practiced the breathing exercises Lyria showed her. Slow inhales, long exhales, focusing on the hum of the tower. At first, Claire felt foolish, but then she noticed something. When she calmed her mind, Cale's scales shifted from dark green to a lighter jade. When her thoughts raced, his eyes narrowed and his tail twitched. He was reading her, not her words, but her spirit. "You are not just his guardian," Claire said to Lyria. "He is yours too." Lyria smiled faintly. "We are each other's, as you must become." Outside, the sky darkened further. Clouds gathered not with rain but with static. The air crackled. Lyria's head snapped up. "They are here." Claire's heart pounded. How long? Minutes? Maybe less. What about the children? They are safe. For now. But if the Drakthari land, they will scan the ground. They will find the cavern. Claire stood. Then we stop them before they land. Lyria shook her head. "I cannot fight them alone. And you have no weapons. I have a shuttle. And a comlink. I can call the fleet." The UNSC Resilience was still in orbit, waiting for her signal. She activated her wrist unit. "Captain, this is Bennett. Hostiles inbound. Request immediate support. Static." Then a voice. "Lieutenant, we read energy spikes. Confirmed threat level. Confirmed alien vessels. Same as the ones that destroyed the colony. They are coming back. Hold position, Bennett. Third Fleet is en route. At 20 minutes. 20 minutes was too long." Lyria placed a hand on Claire's arm. "Your fleet will draw their fire, but it will not stop them. They do not fear human ships. Then what do? We give them something else to fear." Lyria walked to the far wall of the chamber and pressed her palm against a hidden seam in the crystal. The wall slid open, revealing a narrow passage. She gestured for Claire to follow. Cale led the way, his body low to the ground, senses alert. They emerged on a high ledge overlooking the jungle. Below, the ruins of the colony smoldered. Above, 3 black ships hung in the sky, jagged and silent, like shards of night given form. Violet beams lanced down, scanning the surface. "They are mapping the planet," Lyria whispered. "Looking for heat, for life, for power signatures. If they find the Nexus chamber, they will drill." Claire's mind raced. The fleet would arrive soon, but the Drakthari might finish their scan before then. Unless we trick them. How make them think the Nexus is somewhere else? Lyria frowned. The Nexus cannot be moved, but its signal can be mimicked. My shuttle has a comms array. If I boost the signal from here, bounce it off the ionosphere, it might look like the source is coming from the crater. It is a risk. Everything is a risk. Lyria studied her for a long moment. Then she nodded. Do it. Claire ran back to the shuttle, Kale at her heels. She powered up the systems and rerouted the comms through the external antenna. With shaking hands, she tapped into the resonance frequency Lyria had shown her. The same hum that came from the Nexus. She amplified it, then sent it pulsing toward the ruined colony site. On the scanner, a new energy signature appeared in the crater. Strong. Erratic, just like a disturbed core. Above, the Drakthari ships shifted. Their beams focused on the crater. One ship descended lower, opening a bay on its underside. They took the bait. Now, Lyria said, we buy time. But how? With truth. Lyria closed her eyes and placed both hands on the crystal ledge. She began to chant low and steady. The tower behind them flared with light. The ground trembled. Vines shot up from the earth, wrapping around trees, forming barriers. The air shimmered. You are hiding the real signal, Claire realized. Masking it in life. The Drakthari only understand death. They will not see what grows. Kale stood beside Claire, wings half spread, eyes fixed on the descending ship. Claire felt a strange calm settle over her. She was not a soldier, but she was here, and that mattered. Then a voice crackled in her earpiece. Bennett, this is Admiral Voss. Third Fleet has arrived. We see 3 hostiles. Preparing to engage. Tell them to hold fire, Claire said quickly. If they shoot near the crater, the fake signal might collapse. And if the Drakthari realize it is a trick, understood. We will approach from the dark side. Draw them away if we can. Thank you, sir. She turned back to Lyria. They are coming. But quietly. Good. The Drakthari ship landed heavily in the crater, sending up a plume of ash. Figures emerged. Tall, armored in black carapace, faces hidden behind smooth masks. They carried weapons that glowed with violet energy. They moved in perfect silence, scanning the ground. Claire held her breath. Then from orbit a human frigate fired a warning shot. Just enough to catch their attention. The Drakthari turned as one. Their ship lifted off, engines roaring. They had taken the bait again. The fleet had arrived. But Lyria did not relax. They will return. And next time they will not be fooled. What now? Now? We finished the ritual. But the fleet is fighting. Shouldn't we wait? The ritual must be done before the Nexus senses battle. Fear feeds it. Rage wakes it. If it stirs now, even your fleet will burn. Claire looked at the sky, where flashes of light marked the beginning of a space battle. Then she looked at Lyria, at Kale, at the tower behind them. All right. Let's do it. They returned to the chamber with the silver pool. Lyria knelt at its edge. Kale lay beside her, eyes closed. The hum of the Nexus grew louder, almost painful. You must join us, Lyria said. Not with your body, with your will. How let go. Claire sat beside the pool. She thought of Lila, of Earth, of everything she knew. And then, slowly, she released it. Not forgetting, but offering. Like placing a gift on an altar. As she did, Kale opened his eyes. He rose and walked to her. He pressed his forehead to hers. Warmth flooded her, not heat, but connection. Images poured into her mind. Stars being born, forests growing from ash, children laughing in a hidden cavern, and beneath it all the quiet, steady pulse of the Nexus. She understood. The ritual was not about control. It was about harmony. Lyria began to chant again, her voice weaving with the hum of the tower. Claire joined her, not with words, but with breath, with presence. Kale's scales glowed, casting emerald light across the chamber. Outside, the battle raged. Explosions lit the clouds. But here, in the heart of the tower, time slowed. Then, a sharp pain lanced through Claire's head. The Nexus resisted. It sensed her human fear, her doubt. The bond wavered. Lyria's voice cracked. Hold on. Claire gritted her teeth. She thought of Lila's face, of the pairs, of the silence after the last message. And she pushed forward, not with force but with love. The pain faded. The light steadied, but then Kale shuddered. A crack appeared on one of his scales. He let out a soft whimper. What's happening? Claire asked. He is giving more than he should, Lyria said, voice tight. The bond needs 3, But you are not fully Silthari, so he carries the weight. Tell him to stop. He will not. He chose this. Claire reached out and placed a hand on Kale's neck. Tears filled her eyes. You don't have to do this, she whispered. Kale looked at her. Then he leaned into her touch as if to say, yes, I do. Above them, a new explosion shook the tower. Closer this time. The Drakthari had broken through. They are landing again, Lyria said. We are out of time. The ground shook again, harder this time. Dust fell from the ceiling of the chamber. The silver ring around Claire, Lyria, and Kale flickered like a dying flame. Outside, the roar of Drakthari engines grew louder. Closer. They were not scanning anymore. They were digging. Lyria's voice trembled as she chanted. The ritual was almost complete, but the Nexus still resisted. It sensed the violence above. The fear in Claire's heart, the strain in Kale's body. The bond was thin, like glass about to break. Claire could feel it too. Her thoughts were slipping. She remembered Lila's face, but not her name. She remembered Earth, but not its oceans or cities. Only feelings remained: warmth, loss, purpose, and Kale. She could feel him inside her mind. Not as a voice, but as a presence, steady and strong even as his body weakened. Another explosion rocked the tower. A crack split the far wall. Violet light spilled through, harsh and cold. They are inside the jungle, Lyria said, eyes wide. They found the trail. How they followed the energy spike from your shuttle. It led them close enough to see the tower. Claire's chest tightened. The children. Are they safe for now? The cavern is shielded. But if the Drakthari breach the upper tunnels... She did not finish. She did not need to. Claire stood, legs unsteady. Kale rose with her, though his steps were slow. One of his wings dragged slightly. The crack in his scale had spread, glowing faintly with the same blue light as the Nexus. We have to move, Claire said. Not yet, Lyria replied. If we break the circle now, the ritual fails. The Nexus wakes. The star dies. But if we stay, they find the children. Lyria closed her eyes. A tear traced down her silver cheek. There is another way. What way someone must go. Draw them away. While the rest finished the bond, Claire knew what that meant. She looked at Kale. He met her gaze, then gave a slow nod. No, she said. Not him. He is already giving too much. Then whom? Lyria stared at her. You do not know their ways. You cannot fight them. I do not need to fight them. I just need to be seen. Before Lyria could argue, Claire stepped out of the silver ring. The moment she did, the light dimmed. Pain shot through her head, sharp and sudden. Memories rushed back. Her name, her rank, the sound of Lila's laugh. But they felt distant like echoes. She swayed but stayed on her feet. Kale let out a low whine and tried to follow, but Lyria placed a hand on his neck. Stay, she whispered. She must do this alone. Claire ran. Not toward the entrance, but to a side passage Lyria had shown her earlier. A narrow tunnel that led to an old observation post above the jungle canopy. She climbed quickly, heart pounding, boots slipping on wet stone. When she reached the top, she pushed open a hidden hatch and stepped onto a stone ledge. Below, 3 Drakthari warriors moved through the trees, weapons raised. Their armor absorbed the light, making them look like holes in the world. They stopped near the base of the tower, scanning with handheld devices. Claire took a deep breath. Then she stepped into view. Hey, she called, voice stronger than she felt. The Drakthari turned as one. Their masks gave no expression, but their weapons rose instantly. She raised her hands. I'm alone. No weapons. Just me. One of them stepped forward. It spoke, voice like grinding stone. You are human. You were not here before. I came after the fire, looking for my family. The Drakthari tilted its head. Foolish. There is no family here. Only ash, not all of it. Some survived, hidden. The warrior paused, where Claire pointed toward the western ridge away from the tower, in the old mining tunnels. They are weak, scared, easy to catch. Why tell us? Because I want to live. And you seem like you win. The Drakthari studied her. Then it gestured to the others. 2 stayed. 1 followed her. She led them through the jungle, moving slowly, making noise. Every step felt like a lie, but she kept going. Behind her, the tower hummed faintly, a sound only she could hear now. She hoped Lyria and Kale were finishing the bond. She hoped the children stayed quiet. She hoped she was buying enough time. After 10 minutes, she stopped near a dry riverbed. This is it, she said. The entrance is under those rocks. The Drakthari warrior moved past her, scanning the ground. Then it froze. "This is a trick," it said. "How no life signs? No heat, only your trail." Claire's breath caught. She had no plan after this. The warrior turned to her. "You will show us the real place, or you will burn." Before it could raise its weapon, a sound echoed through the trees, not an explosion but a deep, resonant hum. The ground trembled. The air shimmered. Vines shot up from the earth, wrapping around the Drakthari's legs. Roots burst through the soil, pulling it down. Claire stumbled back. The jungle itself was fighting. Then she saw her. Lyria, standing on a high branch, arms outstretched. Her hair glowed like moonlight. Her eyes burned with silver fire. Kale circled above, wings spread wide, scales pulsing with emerald light. The ritual was not broken. It had changed. Lyria was drawing power from the nexus through the land itself. The Drakthari struggled, firing its weapon, but the vines absorbed the energy, turning it into more growth. Within seconds, it was buried under a cocoon of living wood. Claire ran back toward the tower. Lyria dropped down beside her. "You should not have left," Lyria said, but there was no anger in her voice, only worry. "I had to." Kale landed softly beside them, panting. His glow was dimmer now, but his eyes were clear. "The other two Drakthari are still out there," Claire said, "and the fleet's still fighting, but they are losing." Claire's stomach dropped. "Why do we go to the children?" Lyria said, "and we prepare." They moved quickly through hidden paths only Lyria knew. The jungle seemed apart for them. Branches lifting, roots smoothing the way. After 20 minutes, they reached a sheer cliff face covered in moss. Lyria placed her hand on a specific stone, and a section of the wall slid open, revealing a dark tunnel. Inside, the air was cool and damp. Soft light came from glowing fungi on the walls. The tunnel sloped downward, deeper into the earth. The hum of the nexus was stronger here, steady and calm. At the bottom, they entered a large cavern. It was warm, filled with the sound of soft breathing. Along the walls, children slept on beds of woven moss and soft cloth. Some were human. Others had faint silver ears, eyes that glowed softly in the dark. In the center, a woman with kind eyes and gray-streaked hair tended to a small fire. She looked up as they entered, her face lit with relief. "You are back," she said. "These are the last of the colony," Lyria said softly, "and the last of my people." The woman nodded. "They have been asking for you." Claire scanned the faces, and then she saw her, Lila, curled up beside a boy with pointed ears, both asleep. Tears filled Claire's eyes. She was alive, but there was no time to wake her. Lyria turned to the woman. "How long have they been quiet since the shaking started?" "They know something is coming." "It is," Lyria said, "and we must be ready." She walked to the center of the cavern and knelt. She placed her hands on the stone floor. Kale lay beside her, pressing his side against her leg. Claire joined them, sitting cross-legged, heart pounding. "What are we doing?" she asked. "Anchoring," Lyria said. "The nexus is calm, but the battle above stirs it. We must hold it steady. With our presence, with our will." Claire closed her eyes. She reached for the hum inside her, the one Kale had given her. Slowly it returned. Warm, steady, alive. Around them the children stirred but did not wake. The woman watched silently, hands clasped. Above, the sounds of battle grew louder. Explosions shook the cavern walls. Dust fell from the ceiling. But here in the heart of the earth a new kind of quiet formed, one made not of absence but of unity. Claire felt herself fading again. Not dying but changing. Her memories blurred once more. She forgot her rank, forgot Earth Command, forgot even her own name. But she remembered Lila. She remembered Kale's warmth. She remembered why she was here. To protect, to guard, to hope. And in that moment, the bond between human, elf, and dragon became whole. Not perfect, but enough. Outside, the Drakthari prepared their final assault. But below, something new had begun. The ground shook with a force that sent cracks racing across the cavern ceiling. Dust rained down like gray snow. The children stirred, some whimpering, others pressing close to the woman who watched over them. Lila opened her eyes and sat up, blinking in the soft light. When she saw Claire, her face lit with recognition. "Claire," she whispered. Claire wanted to run to her, to hold her, to promise everything would be fine, but she could not move. The bond held her in place, rooted to the stone floor, tied to Lyria and Kale by something deeper than rope or steel. She gave Lila a small smile instead. It was all she could manage. Above, the Drakthari had broken through the jungle canopy. Their heavy boots crushed the undergrowth as they surrounded the crystal tower. They did not speak. They did not hesitate. They fired their weapons at the base of the structure, sending shards of glowing crystal flying. The tower groaned but did not fall. It was alive and it fought back. Vines lashed out, roots erupted from the soil, light flared from its core. But the Drakthari were relentless. They had come for the Nexus and they would not leave empty-handed. In orbit, the Third Fleet was losing. Human ships burned in the void, their hulls torn open by violet beams. Admiral Voss watched from the bridge of the Resilience, jaw tight. They had underestimated the enemy. The Drakthari were not just warriors, they were hunters, and they knew exactly what they were after. "Bennett," he said into the comm, voice low, "if you can hear this, we cannot hold them much longer. If there is a way to stop this, do it now." Deep below, Claire felt the Admiral's words not through her earpiece but through the bond. The fleet's fear, their desperation echoed in the hum of the Nexus. It stirred restless. The silver light in the cavern flickered. Lyria's eyes snapped open. "They are breaking the seal." "What does that mean?" Claire asked. "It means the Drakthari have found a way to reach the chamber above us. If they drill through, the Nexus will sense their intent. It will wake in rage and then the star will burn out. And every world in this system will die with it." Kale let out a low growl, his scales dimming further. He was running out of strength. The bond had taken too much from him. Claire looked at Lila, at the other children, at the quiet courage in the old woman's eyes. She thought of Earth, of the fleet burning in the sky, of the silence that had followed the colony's fall, and she made a choice. "There is another way," she said. Lyria turned to her. "What way I go up? I face them. You cannot fight them. I do not need to fight them. I just need to be seen." As something new, Lyria understood. The Drakthari only knew power as domination. They had never seen power as protection, as sacrifice, but if you go, the bond weakens, Lyria said. The Nexus may stir. "Then Kale and I will carry it together," Claire said, placing a hand on the dragon's neck. He looked at her, eyes filled with pain but also trust. He knew what she was asking. "No," Lyria said. "If you go, you may not come back. And if you fall, the bond breaks." "I know." Lyria was silent for a long moment. Then she nodded. "Go. But do not fight their way. Fight ours." Claire stood. The moment she broke the circle, warmth rushed through her. Not from the Nexus, but from Kale. He rose with her, wings unfolding, though one hung lower than the other. He pressed his forehead to hers one last time. Then he stepped back. "You are not going," she said. "I cannot," he seemed to say with his eyes. "But I will hold the bond from here." She turned to Lila. "Stay with Lyria," she said. "Do not come out no matter what you hear." Lila nodded, tears in her eyes. "Be careful." Claire climbed the tunnel alone. The air grew hotter as she neared the surface. Smoke filled the passage. When she reached the hidden hatch, she pushed it open and stepped into chaos. The jungle was on fire. The crystal tower stood in the center, cracked but still glowing. Around it, 5 Drakthari warriors stood in a circle, firing beams into the ground. A drill of black metal spun where the entrance used to be, boring deeper with every second. They did not notice her at first. She walked toward them, hands empty, head high. When they finally turned, their weapons rose instantly. "Human," one said. "You should be dead." "I should be many things," she said, "but I am here." "Why? Because you do not understand what you are digging for." The Drakthari laughed, a dry, hollow sound. "We understand power. That is all that matters. This is not power. It is life, and you are killing it." The lead warrior stepped forward. "Then let it die. A dead star is still useful. Its corpse can fuel 1,000 wars." Claire shook her head. "You are wrong." Before they could react, she raised her arms and called, not with her voice, with the bond. Deep below, Kale opened his eyes. He let out a roar, not of anger but of unity. The sound shook the earth. The Drakthari stumbled back as the ground split open. Roots surged upward, not to attack but to lift. The crystal tower flared with light so bright it turned night into day. And from the smoke and fire, Claire rose, not alone but wrapped in strands of living light. Her eyes glowing gold, her skin humming with energy. She was no longer just human. She was something new, something the Drakthari had never seen. "What are you?" the lead warrior hissed. "I am the Guardian," she said. Above, the battle in orbit paused. Human and Drakthari ships alike turned toward the planet. A new signal pulsed from Viridia 3. Not a weapon, not a distress call, but a presence. On the bridge of the Resilience, Admiral Voss stared at the screen. "Bennett," he whispered. On the surface, the Drekthari fired. Violet beams struck Claire, but the light around her absorbed them, turning the energy into more growth. Vines wrapped around the warriors, not to crush, but to hold. The drill shattered. "You cannot win," the lead warrior snarled. "We have a fleet. We have numbers and we have a heart," Claire said. Then from the sky a shadow fell. Not a ship. A dragon. Kale descended, wings spread wide, scales blazing with emerald fire. He landed beside Claire, taller now, stronger, as if the bond had given him back what he had lost and more. The Drekthari commander stepped from his flagship in orbit, teleporting to the surface in a flash of violet light. He was massive, armored in bone-white plates, eyes burning with cold intelligence. Croth, the warlord, last of the Drekthari high blood. "So," he said, voice like thunder, "the Silthari bond is real." "It was always real," Lyria said, stepping from the trees behind Claire. She stood tall, unafraid. "You just refused to see it." Croth looked at Claire, at Kale, at Lyria. Then he laughed. "A bond of elf, human, and beast. Fragile. Temporary. I will break it." He raised his hand. The sky darkened. His flagship aimed its main cannon at the planet. Claire and Kale moved as one. They leapt into the air, not with engines, but with will. Light trailed behind them like a comet. They flew straight toward the ship, not to attack, but to shield. As the cannon fired, they met the beam with their joined presence. The energy did not explode. It unraveled, dissolving into harmless light that rained down like stars. Croth stared, stunned. "You cannot destroy life by hating it," Claire said, hovering before him. "You can only join it or be left behind." For the first time, doubt flickered in the warlord's eyes. He looked at his warriors trapped in vines, at his ship, its weapon useless, at the planet below, alive in a way he could not comprehend. "This is not over," he said. "But it is for today," Lyria replied. Croth vanished in a flash of light, retreating to his ship. Within minutes, the Drekthari fleet turned and jumped to warp, leaving silence in their wake. On the ground, Claire landed softly. The light around her faded. She swayed, exhausted. Kale curled around her, holding her upright. Above, the human fleet held position, unsure. Then a single shuttle descended. Admiral Voss stepped out, alone, hands visible. He looked at Claire, at Lyria, at the dragon. "I do not understand what I just saw," he said. "But I know this, we owe you our lives." Claire looked at him, then at the jungle, at the tower, at the hidden cavern below. "Just promise to listen next time," she said. He nodded. "Always." And deep below, the children slept peacefully, safe for now, as the star above burned quietly, forever changed. The silence after the battle was deeper than the silence before it, not empty, but full, filled with the soft rustle of leaves, the distant call of a nightbird, the gentle hum of the crystal tower as it healed its cracks with slow, glowing light. Smoke still curled from the edges of the jungle, but new shoots were already pushing through the ash. Life did not wait. It returned. Claire sat on a flat stone near the tower's base, wrapped in a simple cloak Lyria had given her. Her body ached, not from wounds, but from the weight of what she had become. She remembered Earth, but only in fragments, faces without names, places without maps. She remembered Lila clearly, though. That had not faded. And she remembered Kale, always Kale. The dragon lay beside her, wings folded, eyes half closed. His scales still shimmered between emerald and black, but the crack on his side had sealed, leaving only a faint silver line. A scar, not a wound. He lifted his head when Lyria approached, then settled again, content. The elf woman carried a wooden bowl filled with clear water and crushed herbs. She knelt beside Claire and offered it. "Drink. It will help your mind settle." Claire took the bowl and sipped. The taste was bitter but clean. Warmth spread through her chest. "Thank you." Above, the Aunt's Resilience hung in orbit, silent. No shuttles had landed since Admiral Voss left. No orders had come from Earth Command. They were waiting. Watching. Unsure what to call what had happened here. "They think I am a weapon," Claire said softly. "You are not," Lyria replied. "But they fear what they do not understand. What will they do? They will send someone with questions, not guns. And we will answer them. Claire looked toward the hidden entrance to the cavern. Lila had stayed below, playing with the other children, helping the old woman tend the glowing fungi that lit their home. She had not asked to leave. Not yet. Do you think she will want to go back to Earth? Lyria was quiet for a moment. She is part of both worlds now. Like you, like me. You are no longer just human, Claire. But you are not Silthari either. You are something new. And that frightens them. It frightens me too. That is why you are worthy. In the days that followed, the jungle healed faster than anyone expected. Vines covered the scars left by Drakthari boots. Flowers bloomed where plasma had scorched the soil. The river began to flow again, clear and cold. And the children, human and elf alike, played in its shallows, laughing as if the fire had never come. Claire spent her mornings with them, teaching them earth songs, learning Silthari words from Lyria. She showed Lila how to weave baskets from river reeds. Lila taught her how to listen to the wind for warnings. They were building something not with steel or code, but with trust. Kale watched over them all. He no longer needed to hunt. The land provided fruit, fish, even small glowing insects that tasted like honey. He slept curled around the nursery chamber at night, a living wall of scales and warmth. Then, one morning, a shuttle descended. Not military, not armed, just a small transport with Earth insignia and a single passenger. Dr. Elaine Morrow stepped onto the ash-strewn clearing, hands empty, eyes wide. She was an xenoanthropologist sent by the United Earth Council to observe and report. She carried no weapons, only a data pad and a voice recorder. Lyria met her at the tree line. You are welcome if you come in peace. I do, Dr. Morrow said. I saw the battle. From the science vessel horizon, I saw what she did. She means Claire, Lyria said. I would like to speak with her. Claire appeared from behind the tower, Kale padding beside her. Dr. Morrow froze for a moment, then bowed her head slightly. You saved us all, she said. I did not do it alone, Claire replied. No. But you chose to. That is rare. They sat beneath the tower as the sun rose. Dr. Morrow asked questions not about weapons or power, but about feeling, about choice, about what it meant to belong to two worlds at once. Claire answered as best she could. She spoke of fear, of loss, of the moment she decided to trust an elf and her dragon. She spoke of Lila's laugh, of the silence after the colony fell, of the warmth in Kale's eyes when he offered his essence. Dr. Morrow listened without interrupting. When Claire finished, she was silent for a long time. Earth will not understand, she finally said. They will want to study you, to replicate you, to control you. I know, but I will tell them the truth, that this was not science. It was sacrifice. Thank you. Before she left, Dr. Morrow turned to Lyria. What will you do now? We will stay, Lyria said. This is our home, and we have children to raise, human and Siltharis. They are the first of a new kind, and they will need both our stories. Dr. Morrow nodded. Then I will make sure Earth gives you space to tell them. Weeks passed. The Third Fleet withdrew, leaving only a single observation post far in the outer system. Earth Command declared Viridia 3A protected sanctuary, off-limits to colonization, mining, or military activity. The official report called it a joint human-Silthari preserve. Unofficially, people began to whisper about the Guardian and her dragon. Claire never left the planet. She had no desire to return to a world that felt like a dream. Here she had purpose. Here she had family. Lila stayed too. She visited the surface often, running through the regrown orchard, climbing trees with the elf children, learning to read the stars with Lyria. Sometimes she sat with Claire and Kale under the tower, asking questions about Earth, about pears, about the cousin she used to know. You are still her? Lila said one evening. Even if you forget things, Claire smiled. Maybe forgetting is how I remember what matters. As the seasons turned, the bond between Claire, Lyria, and Kale deepened. It was no longer a ritual. It was simply how they lived. They shared thoughts without words, strength without effort, silence without loneliness. And the Nexus slept peacefully beneath them, its hum steady, its light calm. Far above, the stars burned as they always had. But in this system, something had changed forever. Not because of war, but because of a choice made in the ashes, a choice to protect, to trust, to become more than what they were. And in the quiet heart of Viridia 3, hope grew, not in grand speeches or mighty fleets, but in the hands of a girl who loved pears, an elf who kept watch, a dragon who gave everything. and a woman who walked into fire looking for one child and found a new world instead.